Hey guys, Jeff at Hubie's Garage, and I've been real busy working on the Bel Air. Just pulled out some reference material that I've used from many years ago. I just figured it'd be a good time to kind of share some of these Tri-5 resources with you. So let me show you what I got here. All right, so dating back many years ago, I'd say back into the 70s, there was a great organization called the Classic Chevy Club International. They were back in Florida. They were basically the main organization that governed or ran a very large classic Chevy or Tri-5 Chevy club. This was their monthly magazine that came out. I know I've got trunks of the other stuff dating back to the 80s. This one happens to be from March of '96, but this is how they showed up to your house. They had a paper cover that protected the magazine because you wanted to be able to look at what was going on the magazine. And this is what they had. Usually it was a member's ride that was on the cover, and they had tech articles. And this is a great tech article. This was how to do body work, which we all need to know. And they picked some of the great spots on the Tri-5s that were known to rust. So in fact, I think as you get further along into this, they ended up actually doing a door skin on one of these. But they showed you a lot of different techniques that were hot ticket for the garage guy back in the day, back in 1996. You also had stories on individuals' cars. They talked about individual chapters because there were chapter clubs that were out there. You had, this was a chapter Pride where everybody basically put their picture of their car with a little snippet of what it was about. And they also had cars that were for sale by the members. I know this convertible, $10,000 for a rolling driving 57 convertible. So yeah, prices weren't too bad back then. They also sold parts, and they would list when there were new parts. This is when CD changers were real big. They did the announcements for car shows. They did classifieds where they had cars for sale, parts wanted, cars wanted, and my favorite, the parts for sale. I actually met quite a few buddies through the parts for sale. I met Chuck Smith, who was a real big carburetor guy. I met my good buddy Orly Cooter. Orly was the guy who set up the third members for all my cars, as well as he rebuilt the 4-speed transmissions for my cars. My dad and I became real good friends with Orly, and through Orly, we ended up meeting Tom Ordway. And Tom was another big advertiser here on the CCI, or Classic Chevy International. More classifieds, I mean, just pages of classifieds that went all over the U.S., and then at the end they had the members' pride. So again, as well as, oh, they even sold used parts. I forgot about that. Yeah, you could get NOS or used parts because they had a fleet of stripped out cars at the CCI in Orlando that they would do tech articles on, or they would strip them for parts, and then they would sell parts if the car was deemed to be too far gone back in 1996. But the biggest thing that came out of this were the Tech Help. The Tech Help articles, to me, were huge. They had anywhere from 1 to 3 different articles per month in the magazine where they would do a tech article. And I used a lot of and got a lot of my early Tri-5 information from these pages. One of the things that they went ahead and did later, I was trying to see if there was another tech article in here that was pretty good. Oh, they also had an Ask the Experts, and this was basically the president, vice president, guys that actually worked on their cars. And if you had a highly technical question about a Tri-5, these guys had probably done it before. So you could write in a message. Obviously, this is before the internet, so, you know, it just, this is how we did things back in the day. But they had a really good article here, how to swap your V8 position radiator to the 6-cylinder position. You know, the correct way to do it based on the parts, and how you can modify your core support to accept the 6-cylinder position radiator, because a lot of the small block Chevys were using the long water pumps, and they weren't working with a V8 position radiator. So Again, tech articles, a lot of that stuff. This was some of the great nuggets that came out of the Classic Chevy International magazine, and it evolved over time. They got rid of the sleeve, and then they started inviting other cars besides Tri-5s, and then at one point they got bought out by a company who I'm not real fond of, and that company really, unfortunately, they did a lot of damage to the club, and I believe the club is I don't even think it's even around anymore. If it is, it's not anything that I'd be interested in, because I believe it's more tied to the company that sells parts, and they don't even do a good job at that. So this was the latest club magazine, I guess you'd call it. This was a later version after the company took over the club, and this was from November of 2019, and it had gotten a lot thinner and less pertinent. So what ended up becoming of all of this is, well, aside from the fact that one of the magazines had an actual index. So if you had a topic that you were trying to figure out, say you wanted to rebuild your door hinges on your Tri-5, you could go into the index, find door hinge rebuild, and it was in the March of 1990 issue. So that's how you look that up. So what they ended up doing later on, which was even better, was they ended up coming up with these tech books. The tech books, this is a great option if you don't want to collect every single magazine that I've collected over the years. You can go through the book and find out any of the tech articles. Like this one today, I know I was going through replacing the wheel bearings on the Bel Air, and this one's got a tech article on exactly how to do that. But anyway, this is the Bible. I mean, this has all the tech articles. You can see the tech book. This is A through G, and you can see how thick that is. It's got tabs, and then this one is H through Z. Same deal. It's got tabs, and boy, they even have a section in here on judging. You can tell how old that is. Well, here you go right here. Here's the judging guidelines. And this is for the Classic Chevy Club International. So, you know, I don't even know. I mean, since this isn't around, there's no more annual Classic Chevy International Club events. They used to trade back and forth between East Coast and West Coast as to where they would have these giant annual events. With the club not even being around anymore, obviously the guidelines mean nothing. But the other item was the shop manual, and I've got a couple of these. I think this one is bagged up because it's the big full one, and it even has the supplement. Oh, this might have been, well, this one says 56 Chevy, but yeah, this is 56 Chevy. Okay, so this is a supplement. So I guess they kept the 55 and 56 shop manuals together, and because they were so similar, and they just added a supplemental book for the 56. I really haven't obviously been through that because I have not owned a 56. I've owned a 57 and all 55s. This is actually my shop manual, and of course the cover has been torn off of it. But this is a great book. It's got everything, you know, how to you know, set your bearing load on the ball bearing front ends. You know, how to adjust your clutch. And this is obviously all stock original stuff. So great information here. If you get into a jam, you want to know torque, sequences, specifications, the shop manual will have all that. Another item to have, it's not necessarily for Tri-5, but an old Chilton or a Motors Auto Repair Manual. I believe this one's a 1963. I can't remember. Well, it says it covers 53 to 60. And I know I'm not really using a lot of the Mopar stuff, but I know a lot of the Chevrolet pages are pretty worn out on this page because I've been through and done a lot of stuff with this as far as valve lash, as far as you know, adjusting your points, You know, they get into a lot of really technical stuff, how to rebuild your transmission. These are great books, and you know, if you have these as a reference, they're really nice to have. So, you know, rear ends, transmissions, steering, the steering box, all the adjustments, all the maintenance, repairs, a motor's manual will have that, and it'll have it for each model, make, model, and year for those years. And this was a 23rd edition, but it supposedly covers 1953 to 1960 year models, which is perfect for me because I'm a Tri-5 guy. So, I guess this is another tech book. I think this is Howie's, my dad's. This was obviously a very used tech book because I know he's got notes in here. This is when he rebuilt and did the frame-off restoration on the 55 hardtop, the red 55 hardtop, Howie's hardtop. So I guess I ended up with 2 of those. And the other items, let's move these out of the way. The other items, obviously, if you got any type of a car, the old Haynes manuals are great to have for whatever car you have. We've got a 2001 Chevy Duramax, and then we also have a 2001 half-ton extra cab. So that we have the book, which has all the same specs, just like the shop manual does for the Tri-5s. This one's a little bit more technical for the Duramax because my 01 is a Duramax. You got, gosh, a lot of these books here. These are some old books. How to deal with and how to tune the Holley carburetor. I even have one for the Carter because my first 4-barrel carburetor that I ever messed with was a Carter AFB that I put on the red and white 55. In fact, back in those days, it was turquoise and white, and I had a Carter AFB on that, and that was a fun carburetor. Boy, it had great throttle response, and I think it was a lot because of the fact that I'd studied up. And this is, you didn't have the internet, you had these books, and this is how you learned. So turbochargers, I didn't do anything with that. The basic body work, yeah, we did that because we ended up painting a car or two and did some body work. So this was a great book. Haven't gotten into that one. I probably should. The welding manual. Oh geez, the Frank Holley How to Drive Drag Racing Drive to Win. This is another good one. Another favorite, and I wish John were still around these days. What a amazing guy that was, John Ligenfelter. This is his performance book. It's got all his tips in it. Another later model Chevy during the Chevy Power era, the late 90s, early 2000s. This is another book that tells you basically how to hop up Chevrolet. It's got covers big blocks and small blocks. This one I haven't really been through too much, but I guess it's got a lot of the same stuff, a lot of the technical stuff in building a smaller big, oh, Volkswagen. Wonder how that got in there. Well, that's because of my 67. I did actually build a 1776 with a single DeLordo and an Engel 110 cam and some big 041 heads. I had a Porsche circle crank on it, and I smoked an El Camino one day going to work in it. It was a fun car, and that's the tan bug that I have outside, but the 1776 is long gone. Here's the classic, the original, How to Rebuild Your Small Block Chevy. This David Vizard, and he's out there. In fact, I'm following him now. He's out there with Andy, and they're doing a lot of videos together. But yeah, you can look up David Vizard. He's out there and still doing a great job and has great info. Here's my favorite of all time, How to Hot Rod a Small Block Chevy. I have been through the pages of this one and learned a lot of tricks from that and did a lot of stuff as a kid right out of this book. What a great book. I can't say enough about this one. It is older, but there's still a lot of information in there that's still pertinent today. And then again, oh man, if only this guy were around. This guy is legendary, the Grump. Bill Jenkins is just one of my heroes from back in the day, the early 70s. Go back and watch a video. It might be back east somewhere, maybe Berwyn, Pennsylvania. Can't remember what track it was, but it was Dick Landy and Bill Jenkins doing a match race. And boy, the antics from those two guys, unbelievable. And the fact that this little small block Chevy was going up against big block Mopars and beating them, Just unbelievable, unbelievable. And I think they finally had some rule changes that basically killed the small block in pro stock. But what a legend this guy was. A lot of guys really know this guy and really love and respect Bill Jenkins. So, all right, so that, guys, that's pretty much it. There is one other book. I'll go ahead and insert a picture of it right here. And that is the Tri-5 Chevy Assembly Manual. They have them for each year. I personally do not have one. I don't know what happened to it. I know that I've seen it before, but I can't remember where it's at. I apparently have misplaced it. But you can get an assembly manual, and it's basically the assembly manual that talks about all the sheet metal and assembly. It's basically stuff from the assembly line from the guys, at the plants that were assembling the cars. And those books are available. You can get them at Classic Industries, and they're for each year of the Tri-5s. But yeah, just if you guys are trying to figure out where you might be able to find this stuff, some of this stuff you could find on eBay. I don't know. You'd have to probably do some information to find out if any of the tech books are still out there. But if you do find them somewhere, somebody's got them for sale, somebody's got them on eBay or whatever, look into those. Those are great items, especially if you've got more than one Tri-5 that you got to restore or rebuild. And what a great resource they are. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's kind of a trip down memory lane for me as far as all the great resources that I've had before the internet was invented. And sometimes it's just better to just have a book, have a catalog, whatever it is, have something in your hand. We're guys, we need pictures. And that's kind of what this stuff is to me. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Please stay tuned for more Tri-5 adventures, Tri-5 products, Tri-5 work and repairs. If you want Tri-5 content, that's what I'm here for. And thanks for coming along. Take care and have a great one.